seen it.
All right, at this time, we will call to order the Randolph County Economic Development Corporation June meeting. Before we dive into the approval of the agenda, we do have a couple of new board members here tonight. Up here at the front is Brittany Driscoll, and she represents MoDOT.
Welcome.
And Scott Fisher in the back represents Los Samesville. We appreciate you guys being here tonight.
Full stage chair.
You're allowed to sit at the table.
You can sit right up here, Scott.
With that being said, everyone should have the agenda in front of them. We do have a few changes. The first item would be under action items number 3, the industrial park shovel-ready discussion will be tabled as Mayor Byron is not here today. And if anyone else has any additions to the agenda.
The only thing I would add on the agenda or say about the agenda, when I get into committee reports, the leadership committee said we'll meet in July. That would imply that we haven't been meeting and doing anything. So we did have quite a bit of discussion and meetings between the last meeting and this one. So, you know, just as a point of reference, I'd like to point that out, that we are an active committee that does one hell of a job.
We will work forward to that update.
For what
Thank you, Steve. So at this time, I would entertain a motion
When you're right, I don't have to worry about being.
to approve the agenda with the one correction with the industrial
I
park.
will make that motion, we approve the agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. At this time, those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. Moving on with the board minutes, hand it over to Kevin.
I trust everybody got a copy of the minutes and have had time to review them. Are there any additions or corrections?
There was discussion that we had about the industry that we lost at the last meeting that are not recorded in these minutes. At least the one I didn't see it when I talked about, so.
We'll make note of that. Any other corrections? I'll make a motion, we table the minutes till corrections can be made and resent and approved at our next meeting.
Get a second?
I'll second it.
Have a motion and a second. At this time, those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All righty, moving on. Hand it over to Cheryl with the approval of the financials.
Before we approve the financials, I would like to recommend somebody make a motion to, or I would like to make a motion to take $500 out of the admin account 830 and move it over to the 808 account. And that would cover us from our last meeting where we approved the small business development funding. So we could use that money to make our budget correct. Could anybody make that motion?
Can you state the motion again?
We need to take $500 out of number 830 and move it over to 808. We voted last meeting to approve the small business development funding, and this would get our budget in order.
From where, Cheryl? 8:30 to?
To 808.
Yeah,
Okay.
808 is our membership, and there's only $3,500 in there. We approved $4,000 for the Indiana Small Business Development Center. And I thought we had spoken in the last meeting about how we were going to do that, but we don't have it either on tape or in the minutes. So this is formally moving money to the correct line item so we can pay the bill.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of funds from account 830 into 808. Those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
Does anybody else have any questions in for the financials?
I was looking through there and we appear to be upside down, a couple $1,000. Am I reading that right?
On which one?
On the year-to-date budget? We are at a negative $2,625.05. I couldn't find any outside of the one that you were just talking about. I couldn't find any negative accounts on here that would have caused that. And I was just wondering why we were showing a negative on the budget at this time.
I don't have an answer for that,
I
Steve,
don't
but
either,
we
Steve.
can look into that. And if you would prefer to table the financials, so the next meeting, we can do that as well.
I make a motion to table till next month.
A second.
We have a motion and a second to table the approval of the financials for May until the next meeting. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Brody, who seconded that?
I did.
I think Jim made the motion. Moving on, Scotty is here tonight, and she is going to update us with her report.
Good evening. We're going to do a verbal report tonight instead of a hands-on. I'm just going to give you the highlights of what tourism office is doing. Of course, the digital sign is still I won't scare you. The digital sign is still a huge success. People are talking and calling. And Steve, do you have some input? You shook your head yes. Are you seeing something on the digital sign? It's great. You know what I'm talking about? Or did you just shake your head yes?
I'm glad to hear that it's doing great.
It is going great. It is going great. We are very, very blessed. Of course, the webpage and the Facebook page is getting lots of good hits and so. Bicentennial is what the office is working on. With we had the community event downtown. We got moved up a little bit because the storm hit us, but it was a good day. It was a good day. We got a community picture. I was very satisfied with the day. Now, our next big event is going to be August 19th at the park, the Founders Day. It's a full-day event. Watch the web page, watch my Facebook page, watch for articles. It's going to be a full day. And that, in the past, we did the Donald Davison event, which was downstairs with the racetrack. Most of the people that were there were out-of-towners, and after the event was over, they took a caravan with us pies, and I think they did very well that day with our out-of-towners. The racetrack is going to be involved in our bicentennial. The first race is the bicentennial race, and they have got some plans to do some nice things in our community with the racetrack. Plaza, supposed to start this week. We've been seeing construction workers out there with the flags and so on, so I think we're going to see some real activity this week. And tourism went into the Home Business Expo last week and reached out to a lot of people. We've got We are involved with the Arts Festival and Statewide Heritage Days in Union City, more than what we usually have. We've got the Hawaiian Steel Guitar Convention coming in July. There's some new activities, some new things. The new president of the Hawaiian Steel Guitar event is 22 years old, and the average age of the members there are 88. So we dwindle every year. But this new guy is awesome. Awesome. So, and of course, we're working with the Art Association, Chamber of Commerce, East Region Tourism Association, Indiana Foodways Alliance. Does anybody have any thoughts or want to hear more about anything?
Good question. There was possible talk of another community portrait because it was moved forward. Is that
I
anything
believe
that
that's
you
going to happen, but it may not be a community portrait. It may be an event portrait. I believe Kevin Shook is probably going to be coming back with the drone. I don't know if we're going to do another camera portrait, but I think we're going to do with the drone with City Out Park. So I think there's going to be something happening with the drone. That's still kind of clear, but yes. So I know some people were disappointed that they didn't make it. And it is what it is, you know. Had we waited, we'd have all been. Sometimes you gotta do what's right. Anybody else? Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Scotty.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into our action items on the agenda. I'll hand it off to Todd. I know that his committee's worked extremely hard over the last several months to get to the point tonight, hopefully where we can get some bylaws approved. So hand it over to you, Todd.
We met since the last meeting, and we went passed through everything and incorporated Mike's suggestions. First question, Mike, did we interpret everything?
I read them, and I would vote in favor of them.
Let's go through each page real quick. Does anybody have anything on page 1? You want a question? We don't. And Mark, we can, if as we go through the pages, there's something else I missed, we need to point out to everyone to discuss. Just for content, there is some word issues on this, so this is not clean yet, so this is content. Under Article 3, Section 2, Greg, talk to me about, that advisory.
So one of the things that came out of one of our committee meetings over the past 30 days, members of the incentive committee wanted to know if we could possibly get Dr. Michael Hicks to serve our board as an advisory member. I contacted Dr. Hicks at Ball State. He said he would do that. And so the question is he simply an advisor? Is he an advisory board member? If he's an advisory board member, do you want to create a position for others who may fill that role in the future? Just trying to kind of see what the board would like to do with that. Any thoughts or input?
On my behalf, anyway, I think that advisory is just advising us without being a voting member, because we have every town represented here. We have farmers, we have labor. I think we just should keep it as just an advisory. I mean, we've done it all year long, well past years. We bring in guests and we listen to their advice. And then we as members, we vote on their advice. That's just my intake on that.
One of the questions is to add that position here in the bylaws, that it's there and available to fill if we want. That's one of the questions for the bylaws. Just to add that under the qualifications of the list of people that can be here, that's what.
We're talking also about voting.
No, and Greg said it wouldn't be a voting position, it would just be advisory. But we want to know if we want it in the bylaws that it's available position if we exercise that on. there's someone available. That's what Greg talked to me about it.
Don't want to make too much out of it. I mean, he's agreed to help us. Having someone like him as an advisor, I think is a positive thing for us. I didn't know if we wanted to formally make that person an unofficial member of our board in an advisory capacity, or simply take his advice and move on.
I think Dr. Hicks would probably bring quite a bit of
I do
value
too.
to the board. I don't know that necessarily requires us revamping the bylaws to allow for him to be a part of it. If he's going to come in as an advisor, he'd be more than welcome to do that without us having to amend the bylaws to state something like that if he's not going to be a voting member.
I think we've already addressed it. If you go to Article 7, Section 2 for committee appointments, it says we can appoint a committee position for consideration of any candidate from inside or outside of the REDC. They're referred to as community advisors. It's right there already.
What page is that?
It's Article 7,
Page 7.
Section 2, committee appointments.
What brings the best tone to it, I guess, would be, I mean, bringing Dr. Hicks on is a pretty good deal, I think, for economic development. To have him feel like he's an advisor to our board or just an impromptu advisory has kind of two different overtones. I think the board ought to welcome him with some kind of motion to be an advisor for the time being. You know, anybody can come to our meetings at any given time and give any advice they want. But if we say that we, the board of directors of economic development, want to bring Dr. Mike Hicks on as officially as an advisor till further notice, I think it's something that gives him a little bit of credence as well.
I second his motion.
I would agree. I think it's a positive thing. I think some sort of formal recognition and acceptance and welcome should be made, but I'm not sure it needs to be part of the bylaws. I suppose if we wanted it part of the bylaws, we'd have the opportunity to make it part of the bylaws. I guess the question becomes what happens when he leaves.
Yeah, because if you make it part of the bylaws, then that creates a position, right? It's not just Dr. Hicks coming in, it could be anybody that,
Right.
and I'm not sure that.
That'd be somebody from Purdue, and who the heck would want that? Oh, I didn't know you were here, Jim.
With the left hand.
Yeah, I agree with all that we should make an official welcome
Okay.
and recognize his value to the board. But we don't have to put it in the bylaws, we have a position we have to always fill.
That's fine. I wanted it for your consideration.
I would like him to know that it's more than just an impromptu visit to us, it's a big
Right.
input for us.
Thank you. Will do.
And that is,
Do you need action on it tonight?
I'd like to make a motion, we formally welcome Dr. Hicks as our advisor.
Second.
Okay. We have a-
Need to move on that?
We got a motion and a second.
We have a motion and a second to
Yep.
send Dr. Hicks, welcome to our board of directors. Those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, Todd, moving on with the
anything
bylaw.
on page 3? Anybody have a question on page 3? How about page 4? Page 5? On page 6, article, section 7 under attendance, that's been one of the things of discussion, and that was one of the changes that Mike wanted.
Suggested.
Recommend.
Wanted us to look at, let's put it that way. This is, anybody got an issue with it? It's not a hard line thing, it's just to encourage stability.
It's 3 meetings, right, in 12 months?
That was one of the biggest changes. And part of that, we already discussed it last meeting, but proxies is not part of the bylaws anymore.
The situation will come that the board, or the executive board, that's where it goes first, can't not address any time that happens from anybody for any reason. You can't single it out. So if you want to get that in there like that, if somebody misses 3 meetings, you have to address it in the executive board and have to bring to the full board a recommendation of why or go on. So it's one of the things that you can't just handpick this and that person and that person. It's,
You consider it.
yeah, pardon me?
They would have to consider it.
Yeah, they'd have to consider it each and every time that happens.
And it's not consecutive, it's just 3 meetings out of 12, so it's, sometimes you have a bad health or whatever, and that's a good thing. It's not consecutive.
I'm personally okay with that. I'm just saying the executive board has to realize that somebody's going to have to monitor that and make sure that it's brought up each time that occurs so that happens.
What's excused and unexcused? I see no definition of that.
There isn't any.
There isn't any.
That was taken out.
Yeah.
It's exactly.
Excused absences.
See, there was
And
no
the,
excuse.
you may be looking at the wrong one. Is that Kevin?
Yeah.
Section 7 of the Leadership Committee's final draft doesn't have anything in there about excused and unexcused.
You may have some.
And what I did was basically remove the unexcused.
Okay, I'm good with that.
I wasn't establishing, I mean,
You was gonna come to the
it
executive.
can be
board.
8 absences as far as I'm concerned. I don't have any, I'm not stuck on the number of absences. I thought it was kind of difficult to define unexcused and excused absences. I deal with the Teamsters every week, and it's a difficult situation.
Yeah.
You guys are a lot worse than the Teamsters, and I wouldn't win that deal.
You can reason with the team.
And we know that after this is adopted, then the proxies would stop at that point.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that on our copy.
The proxies in here, so we
I don't
don't,
see so they don't-
and we discussed at the last meeting, and everybody was ready to stop the proxies in, so it's not in there, it's not even addressed.
So is that why section 5 just says vote, and for those who are present, is that reason why that come up instead of proxies?
We basically did away with proxy.
Which we should have.
And same page, it should say, Article 6, Section 1, Lisa's got some changes is that more than what I put in there?
What's that?
Lisa handed me something just prior to the meeting for this.
Which one are you on?
Articles, and that's right there, composition and duties, Section 1, on page 6.
Still on page 6.
Page 6. Is that,
Oh, for the executive committee?
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't, here's a copy of it. I did make copies, but I just didn't think there was enough detail there about how the executive committee functions. So, to be a little bit more specific, I mean, it does say they are actively monitoring business of the economic development and has authorities delegated to it by the board from time to time. But what I was suggesting we add is the committee shall have and exercise all authority of the board of directors in the management of the corporation's affairs during intervals between meetings of the board of directors. The executive committee shall be subject to the authority and supervision of the board of directors. As a standing committee of the board, recommendations of the committee shall come to the board as a formal motion. And I just took that from another bylaws, just really giving more specific authority that the executive committee has.
I'm sorry, was that in the
That's not.
updated copy that
No,
Michelle sent?
That was something,
No.
no.
Okay.
If she wanted to correct this, this was put out. And basically, and you're taking the last, in the other part, you're taking the last sentence of this, that what they see, you're taking that last sentence out, is what they
Yeah.
see, right?
Yeah, I think it explains well what the authority they have is in between meetings. But they are still subject to the supervision of the board of directors, and that motions and recommendations of that committee need to go before the board for approval.
So do they have the authority of the board of directors between monthly meetings? So they can remove board of director members?
They can act in place of the board if the board is not, if there's not a quorum or.
With this in there?
They have the authority of the board in between.
Only if it's given.
Well, a lot of times, we'll make a motion that the executive board make the final decision, but we give them that, right? But we
Yep.
say it in a public meeting,
Well, the executive committee can conduct the business of the board if the board, you know, is unable to meet, or they can serve in that capacity in the intervals of the meetings.
As an example, if the board wanted to take the month of July off, and yet give the executive board authority to do some business, that would be another possible
Yeah, that's
scenario.
true.
But Lisa, they would, each time they would have to get permission from the executive committee? Because there's boards now, the trend's going that people are, executive committees are actually, the new trend is that they don't exist anymore.
Yeah,
Because
or they
executive committees are
rarely
becoming
meet.
so powerful within an organization, that they're becoming detrimental. And so, I'm a reader, so when you said that, I can't capture everything you're saying, but just as long, just as long as it's, if the executive committee is going to act on our behalf, I would say that each time they have to have our approval to know what they're going to be acting for. I would be hesitant to say they just have free reign, that if we don't get together, those 5 people get to make a decision on our behalf, versus if we decree them that power, kingdom, or whatever, then I'm okay with it, but I'd be hesitant to say that they just automatically have that, and I'm not sure if that's what you're saying or not. Mike or somebody else that knows that, Todd, what do you think, Mark? Sorry to call you by your last name.
We
Mark,
had,
right?
we had quite a lengthy, deep discussion about this at our retreats on this thing, and if we're going to, and my feelings on this is if we're going to adopt this kind of language in there to give the executive then we need to revisit the makeup of the executive board, because I think in a lot of cases where you see an executive board meeting more often than the full board meets and has that power to take action on behalf of the board, then that executive board consists of not only your executive officers, but it consists of all your chairs of all your subcommittees. And those subcommittees, on the premise that all the subcommittees are going to be meeting on a monthly basis and taking care of the business of a group. So that way you're not looking at a group of 5, you're looking at an expanded group taking those kind of actions if the board wants to go that way. So to add that kind of language in, to grant that kind of power on a short term based on, without having to come before the board to approve it, I think could create some unforeseen negative circumstances down the road.
How could you undo the decision made by the executive board if the full board didn't agree? Because the last sentence says about bringing it to the full board for formal motion. What it really says, it's vague enough to say, is after this meeting, the executive board can take over and make any decision starting tomorrow clear through the next month. And then bring it to us for a formal motion. What if we don't agree?
The board has final authority.
Yeah, but a lot of things could be done in that 30 days before the board would take that final authority. And I guess, I'm sure there's things between meetings that the executive committee could do to keep the business of the corporation going. For instance, transferring money from one account to another, that's probably something that would be appropriate for the executive committee, but I guess removal of a board member would not be appropriate. And this gives somebody the authority, this gives the executive committee the authority to remove, which is it's contrary to our bylaw. They don't have that authority to do that. But then this turns around and gives them that authority. So I think I would be more agreeable to this paragraph if you had a list of what the executive committee could do in between meetings, and I don't think that's going to be able to be created. I don't know. But I agree with Gary. I think it's pretty carte blanche the way it reads.
Even though that's not the intent, that's the authority it
That's
has.
what happens, yeah.
So for now, we just leave this section as is? And bring it
Or we
back?
could keep going through this and then the leadership committee could meet
I
again.
mean, for right now, we'll do as is, and we'll
Get that
we'll
final
bring
We'll
it
make
back,
amendments
bring
to
it
the
back up.
bylaws at any time.
Right.
Bring it back up later. Okay.
That way we can take that into consideration.
Can we step back to Article 5, Section 6, quorum? We also had quite a discussion into this. Simple majority, 51% has to be present for us to have a legal meeting. We don't allow proxies. Is that number realistic? Should we revisit that number? Do we need to have a different number, maybe 9 members present to conduct business? This is part of the discussion we had during our sessions and decided we'd throw this hunk of red meat out to the full board and let them kick it around and see what they wanted to do with it.
Steve, I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you read the copy that you have? How
It
currently states?
is quorum under Section 6 out of Article 5. It's right ahead of the composition duties that we were just discussing, which is Article 6. So if paragraph 6 says, for the purpose of conducting business at each board of directors meeting, a quorum shall consist of a simple majority of the directors of the board of directors. So right now, if we have 25 members, that's 13 that we have to have present for a board meeting. Sometimes 13 is a difficult number to reach. Is 13 the number we want to go with, or do we want to go with a number greater than that, or do we want to go with a number less than that to establish a quorum?
Yeah, the bigger question too is the legalities of what a quorum really is.
It's whatever we decided, I believe.
Is that in a 501c3 charter? Is it in there? I don't disagree with it, but
I don't think we should pick a specific number, because back in Article 3, Section 2, it says that our board shall be comprised of no less than 15 and no more than 25. So if we say 9 makes a quorum, and we drop down to a 15-member board, getting 9 is not very realistic. I think we should stay with a percentage, not a set number. If you want to make it 60% instead of 50%, that works, but picking an arbitrary number will have to change if the number of board members changes.
Good point.
so that leaves the question, is 51% or 50 plus 1, or should it be 40 plus 1 or
Well,
30 plus
it would
1?
be a question of, instead of going 51%, it would be 50% plus 1, it could be 30% plus 1, or it could be 30% minus 1, or it could be 60% plus 1, I don't know. But the question, I know that we have had trouble in the past having a quorum at meetings, and we're trying to make sure that the business is not interrupted, because we do not have.
Well, and your experience on this board is a lot longer than mine, but the time I've been on this board, I don't think quorum's been an issue. There's been a lot, I think attendance has been good. I know the proxies count, but I don't think, I don't know if I've been to a meeting where necessarily the proxies made the difference.
I have.
I'm sure you have, but you, again, you've been on this
I'm
board a
old.
lot longer than I have.
Oh, yes, I know.
So we'll move on.
A quorum by the definition is a majority of the body. So if we go below the majority, we can't use the word a quorum.
You can say a quorum for the purpose of this definition is.
That you can do. Correct. But I think we should be checking into our charter for 501c3 and see if there's a language on quorum there.
Page 6, page 7. Anybody see anything on page 7? The one thing we wanted to point out is that we put a line in that all directors shall participate on a minimum of one committee.
What'd you say?
We added that all board members participate on at least one committee. On page 7, Article 7, Section 2. Put it down as the last, you don't like it, take it out of the
That's the first thing out of her mouth.
I mean, you see a whole list of committees, I mean, it's not hard to pick one.
No, there's plenty of options.
I don't think you can enforce that law, by the way. Because those members who are on here by their position through their towns can't be told what to do to be on here. They're appointed. So you could recommend it, but you can't make it a mandatory bylaw. You can't tell the mayor of Union City he has to be on a committee because he's on this board regardless. Or Winchester,
Or his designee,
or his designee.
his or her designee.
So then you're gonna have 12 people that can just,
No, I didn't discourage people getting on it. I'm just saying you can't make it mandatory.
but the real work of the board's done at the committee level.
Right, but still, the charter of this organization requires that we have certain people on board. One from every town, incorporated town, one from each mayor, one from the Chamber of Commerce, one from the commissioners, one from the council. And those appointments aren't regulated to certain things in the bylaws. They are on here no matter what. So I encourage everybody to get on the committee, but I don't think we can tell them they have to be on the committee.
By law, we can't tell them that.
I don't
Just
think
because
so.
we don't want to.
No, by law, I mean.
That's what I'm asking. I
No,
don't know.
I don't believe so. I mean, there might be some states you can, but if you're representing a town and that town appoints you to this committee, you can't then say, well, you can't be on here because you won't be on this other committee. The town decides who comes here. The person who comes here decides if he wants to be on committees or not. It's encouraged, but I don't think you can make it mandatory. I don't think you can write it into the bylaws. For those people who are appointed by position. Could be wrong, but I don't think so.
You can change it to a non-appointed, agree.
Well, there are, yeah.
Appointed member has to be on a committee.
Well, we can do that.
Or all directors are encouraged to be on a committee.
That'd be great, yeah.
We would prefer that they do participate in committees and be more involved.
Right. And then I don't say they shouldn't, I just don't think you can, it's, for instance, it's the same problem we're gonna have with the attendance. If you're the mayor of one of these towns or the chamber, you can't remove them. We can't remove them. So we shouldn't put language in there that acts like we can.
Todd, where are we at in the, what article are we under?
This is on page 7, Article 7, Section 2.
Should we take action on that change now or wait till the end?
And there's another part of it too. That all committees should have a minimum of 5 board members or majority of the committee.
Sorry, say that last part. Our copy down here is not updated, I'm sorry.
In the sentence right above it, all committees shall have a minimum of 5 board members or a majority of the committee. So we're saying we want the control being within the board of directors of each committee. So it's either a minimum of 5 or a majority to the committee, to the full committee. So these two things we need to hash out. These two sentences.
Now you see what we've been going through.
What Steve said you guys were alive and well was true, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, all directors shall should just be should, I think, for those who can't be told what to do, basically, all here. Should and are encouraged to.
I was gonna put our encourage.
Yeah, okay.
Put that on mark.
I'm not sure what you mean when you say every committee should have a majority of the committee.
Majority of the board members.
5 members on the committee.
I'm
and
saying,
at least
if I was
3.
on one and I had 6 people from the community, and if they're all voting, you know, I could.
Because you have these communities, right? So you have a committee of 5, you have 3 board members and 3
Okay, I thought you mentioned majority of this.
Yeah, more majority of board members.
So what's the purpose? I'm a little confused on, you have to have a minimum of 5 board of directors.
4.
So if you have a larger group, you have 20, 5 of them have to be.
11.
No,
2011.
So then I don't understand why you have to, what's the purpose of the 5 board members on a committee? Right.
Because you're getting outside people involved in committees and stuff, right?
But the 5's irrelevant
Yes.
at that point. I mean, if you have to have a majority, no matter how big the committee is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're also going to change that one that shall participate on encourage.
You don't need the 5.
5 members on the committee.
Yeah.
The majority should be 3.
Or wait out the 5 and just make sure you have the majority.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 more
Let's do
to
it.
3.
Okay.
Anything else on page 7? Anything on page 8? Page 9? Page 10? And section 1 on page 10, we put it in there, the process of approving changes to the bylaws. That's all that. Clarify. Is there anything else, Steve or Lisa? Mark? Nope. So basically, I think we just have 2 changes.
What 2?
Had to do with the number on the committee and the shall versus.
Attendance. Attendance
I think
can't be.
I might take issue with that. I think we can, to me, if it becomes that, and I don't expect it will be, but if it will become that, then, and let's take me for instance, and I don't show up for 9 meetings, and the executive committee recommends I be removed, and the board recommends I be removed, then that decision is presented to the county commissioners, and the county commissioners then decide whether or not I should be reappointed.
That's true, but this board can't do that. The commissioners
They
can't.
could- But by their action, it raises the question. If you don't have anything in there, there's nothing that's going to direct or raise that issue with any of these members. Council, commissioner, mayor is a little different unless it's a mayor's appointee.
Mhm.
Now, I think we'd probably be foolish if we tried to remove Sean Byram
Mhm.
for lack of attendance, because he's gonna, but if he had an appointee, for instance, Steve Croyle, and he never showed up, that would raise it to the bar that says, you know, we've got an issue here, we need a city of Winchester representative, his appointee's not coming, we voted to remove him, and we'd asked you to support that decision.
And I don't disagree with that, except for if the commissioners or the city council or whoever's doing it says, thank you for your recommendations, we don't agree, then that person remains.
I understand.
Okay.
That would be a reappointment in my decision, in mine.
Okay.
It-
But the authority belongs to those who send them there.
I agree with that.
Okay, that's all I'm making.
I agree with that.
Yes, I would recommend
I
it
think
too.
Mike's point really is though, is that we as a board need to recommend that.
Right.
And then they have to, at least they have to take action at that point.
Right,
But if we leave it out, there's no action to be taken at all.
right. And my point is the authority for that final move belongs to the people that appointed them.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's where 80% of the time, they would assign somebody else from that town, since that other person had either issues or whatever, so the town would reappoint somebody else.
I agree totally. I'm not even arguing for somebody's absenteeism, just so it's in there correctly.
And I suppose that could be handled by just adding a sentence at the end, and if the board does not have the final authority to remove the director, then they would recommend to the appointing body that removal be made.
Correct. I agree with that.
Because you'll have somebody else take place.
Maybe.
Well, if you want to be, you should be, every town should have a representative here. Because there's a lot of important decisions happening before, and then to report back to the committee.
So, at this point, are we ready to take action as a board, or would we like Todd and his committee to make changes and send back out again for everyone to review and then take action at the August meeting?
I don't think we've decided on what
The executive.
on the executive.
Well, that's gonna come as a recommendation after these are in place. We can work on this one separate.
I think if you're going to offer suggestions and changes, I think the board needs to ratify those changes, so that we just don't put them in here and then come back to the next meeting and say, well, no, we changed our mind on that. So if you want to add a sentence here, I think that needs to be brought up and voted on. And if you want to delete something here or change a word from shall to may, then that needs to be brought up and voted on tonight, and then we can finish this document up with our many other tasks that we so diligently do as a leadership committee when we work our tails to the bone. We'll be able to get some satisfaction out of this particular issue.
So Steve, we have three different places in the bylaw we need to vote on tonight then is,
I think there's at least three. I think Mike offered some, I think that Gary offered some, and I'm not sure.
Lisa did.
Lisa offered some.
I would just bring it back again in August. Well, I would just redo it.
That's Article 7, Section 2.
what was that, Gary?
I would bring it back again in August. I would
Okay.
just focus on these changes here. We can go page by page again. Just focus on what we talked about tonight.
Do we want to just approve these that we
Well, approve the changes that we talked about tonight, or so we're not wasting our time adding them to the
approve these
bylaw.
as changes, get them in there, and then we're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was the first change,
So let's
Todd?
do the easy ones, and that was Article 7, Section 2, on page 7, in the last two sentences. And the last sentence would be, all committees shall have a majority of the board of directors on the committee. And all directors are encouraged to participate on a minimum of one committee.
I move to adopt that change.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor for the change, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, Todd, second?
And the other one was talking about what to add to the attendance, if we want to add anything. Do we want to add something or wait and see if it becomes an issue for the ones that are attending?
On what?
On your attendance, what you were talking about with the,
We don't have the authority to remove them.
and it's what, I don't think there's anything,
Does anything that say that you're going to recommend to the appointing body that they be replaced?
Is that what you want to add?
No, just want to make sure we don't add something wrong, in my opinion.
So you're saying we should make some distinction between appointed members and other members? And spell that out?
Mhm. Yeah, it says, the executive committee will recommend removal to the board of directors, who will then decide upon removal. We don't have that authority.
I kind of agree with that.
We don't. So we would have to say, I don't know how we language it, but we don't have that authority to remove those that are appointed by another body.
I'm going to disagree with that. Based on Article 3, Section 2, subsection B, under the vacancies, ex officio appointed positions, the nominating committee shall have the authority to solicit for consideration potential qualified candidates for the ex officio appointed positions on the board of directors. The acting chair of the nominating committee shall, on behalf of the nominating committee, contact the entity with the vacancy to submit a qualified candidate for review, consideration, and affirmation by majority vote. So what that's saying is that the body can appoint somebody or suggest somebody. Our board reviews them through the nominating committee, presents it to the board votes. If the board votes no, they have to provide a new candidate.
Right, that's still not removal on attendance policy.
But under that,
That's a presumption, though, Glenn, that's not.
under that, that's saying that this board has to vote to accept them.
Correct.
So we can also vote to remove them. We can send them back to the board or to the appointing body and ask for a new qualified candidate to be nominated.
But that line of thought would nullify that whole entire section about attendance then, completely. If that's the line you want to take. Once they're accepted and they're on here, then they are.
They are the same as any other nominated and an elected board member. Any other nominated and elected board member can be voted off through the same attendance policy.
Okay, well, I disagree that section gives authority to remove somebody. Once they've already been appointed.
But if.
Like Mike said, nobody would want to say, hey, we're going to remove the mayor of Winchester, the mayor of Union City. But this language doesn't specify between the mayor. So is this board going to make recommendation to remove a mayor?
What if you added at the end, or in the event the board does not have the authority to remove, then the director, then the board shall recommend to the appointing authority that that board member be removed.
That's perfect.
I mean,
That just
but I
clears
think-
it up.
Right.
Right, and that's what we talked about in the committee meeting, is if you didn't have an active board member from a certain town or a group, you would go to that certain town or group and say your person's not being active, can you help out?
Right.
That's the whole idea,
Yeah. Right.
and
that sentence clears it.
that takes care of that.
you have that written down, Mike?
Yeah, I do.
So you'd add that to section 7?
At the end,
Just a
Is that your motion?
tagline on the end.
that's Gary's motion.
It's my motion, and I'll make that motion.
Second.
Gary, can you repeat that one more time? I'm
Mike,
sorry.
help me out with that. Thanks, Brody.
I'm not sure this meeting you guys talk about kicking somebody out. The person that I took this seat from has never been to a meeting for a couple years. And I show up at the first meeting and we're talking about removing people.
That's part of the reason. We saw you come in.
So my language is,
You're gonna make it clear that I can't get by with what she did, right?
after the word removal, or in the event the board does not have the authority to remove the director, then the board shall recommend to the appointing authority the board member's removal.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
We have a motion
I second.
and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right.
Can we get, now can we do a motion to pass these with those two changes and be done, so we can sign off and be done with them tonight?
Sure, that's what the board wants
We
to
still
do.
got that one.
Well, I think we were gonna go back and talk about that one. To me, that'd be our first amendment to bylaws.
That's not currently in the language that's out.
No, it's just,
You don't wanna get a final clean copy out to everybody and let them remove it.
We wanna, you wanna deal with this one tonight? That's the only thing left, would be this one right here.
I mean,
Then we can be done.
I'm gonna go ahead and meet in June.
So Todd, you're asking for a motion to approve?
Well, they want to finish
Oh,
this one
okay.
here.
Sorry.
That was,
That
that's
was
Article
Lisa's.
5, Section 1, composition and duty. What you have in front of you is Lisa's suggesting that we take off the very last sentence and then add, the committee shall have and exercise all the authority of the board of directors and the management of the corporation's affairs during intervals between meetings of the board of directors. The executive committee shall be subject to the authority and supervision of the board of directors. As a standing committee of the board, recommendations from the committee shall come to the board as a formal motion.
That's gonna do that too. All the authority means you can even change the bylaws with a 2/3 vote. All the authority is broad. I understand the intent, but that's broad. It can say, tomorrow, these bylaws can be changed. Because it says 2/3 vote in the bylaws, but when you say all the authority, you give the authority to the executive committee to change anything and everything of this charter. It's too broad, that definition. Now, how to get there, I don't know. That's a lot of.
I mean, you're not giving your executive committee any authority the way it's written now.
Right.
So if there's a blizzard and we can't meet, they can't, there's no way to conduct business. If you can't pull together, you know, a quick meeting and move on. And that's really what the intent is, you know, it's not every month you're voting on something that really should be going before the board.
But somehow it has to be limited. I mean, again, I understand the intent, but when you give that and put it in your bylaws, it can be construed as those 5 members have the whole authority. I don't agree with that.
I think the allowance that we have in there for calling special meetings in case of an emergency, I think that covers a blizzard or a tornado or anything else that might derail a regular meeting. I don't know that we need to change that. If there's something that needs immediate or that comes up as a high priority thing, they have the power to call a special meeting at any point in time. And I think that covers anything that would come up. I would much rather see us use the existing mechanism of the emergency meetings as opposed to basically write a blank check and say, go do what you want.
Because we're still gonna be, the executive committee's still gonna, come to the board with final decisions. Or recommendations.
According to the way it is now, not according to that. I mean, that's giving them the power to make any decision the full board could
Did you
make.
guys do anything last month?
The executive committee? Nothing outside of the scheduled meetings?
What would happen if we took all the authority out of the state? What should I do to it?
What are you saying, Tom?
Just take that, all the authority shall have. You do have the management of the daily function. And it's true,
I think with the way email is and things like that, I think given the executive board all the authority, I agree that that's too much. Because you don't ever want somebody to abuse that privilege of being on the executive board. You always want them to be accountable. But we as a board is accountable for this organization. So I think the whole entire board should be accountable, not just those five. And I think the way the emails, I mean, there's communication out there, so I don't see why that even should be a problem. We should never be making decisions that is major, that's going to affect.
I don't think the intent's for major decisions. I
Right,
think it's just to
exactly.
continue.
Just day-to-day
business.
operations.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what Greg is here for. That's what the executive director is here for, is for the day-to-day operations.
Well, I mean, we can't approve,
Right.
consent agenda type items without the board approving it. We just don't.
So could we do it through email or something?
We don't
like that?
have email though in the bylaws.
Right, but I mean, just,
So if we show up for a meeting next month and we don't have quorum, we don't have a meeting.
And we haven't decided what quorum is, I don't think.
It's the majority of the board members.
Did we finalize that? I know we had a long debate, I don't know that it was.
I think it pretty well got shot down from what I was hearing back at this end of the table. I had a guy stepping on my toes and another person kicking my shoe.
But Gary did ask, what was of our original charter?
Right.
So going back to 1988, to give you an idea of how this organization has been all over the board, this is what we submitted with our 501c3 documentation. These were the bylaws, kind of typed with a typewriter. Under quorum, now this is a time when 19 board members was the largest, that was the maximum size of our board. Quorum, 5 duly qualified members in attendance at any called meeting per sections 5, 6, and 7. 5, 6, and 7 deal with annual meetings, other meetings, and regular meetings. Below shall constitute a quorum, and the act of the majority of the directors present at a meeting at which a quorum is present shall be an act of the board of directors.
There you go.
So it can be all over, it really is
It's
what we
whatever
say
this board
it is.
establishes.
Thank you.
So Todd, are we ready to take action tonight on other
So it
bylaws?
could be the executive committee. If you took it down to 5, then the executive committee could be the board if they're the only ones able to get to a meeting because of a blizzard or a tornado or.
In fact.
That's probably more likely than a tornado.
Wanted to do that.
Well, the quorum question is now over. Now it's just accepting the board of directors and what they want the quorum to be set at. And that's all I needed to know, that we couldn't violate our charter.
So Todd, are you wanting your committee to go back and bring us suggestions, or?
Do you want to try to finish this now, or?
No, I think we need a clean copy when it's all done personally too. I think we need to put all this in,
Well,
get it set, and give you time to work on that, but it's not so,
This one here?
so broad ranging, and it's unbridled now, it's just. And the best intent's the best intent, when it comes down to the letter of the law, we give it all up to the executive committee. But I don't disagree, there needs to be some stuff in there to help.
But executive committee has always been a recommendation force.
Right, but if you get into a situation where the executive committee has to act upon something, let's just say they believe and they know more than the rest of the board on a lot of things, and that happens, and all of a sudden the rest of the board says, I don't agree, and I want that $30,000 back. Period. What are you gonna do? You're not gonna be able to undo that. That's far-fetched, but it's realistic. We have to remove that out of there somehow. It cannot happen that way. Or if it does happen that way and the board decides, it can't be reversed by the board of directors after the decision's been made. This is bad business to go in there and reverse it all, especially when you're dealing with people that's wanting to be left quiet.
Especially if you have attendance things and you say, well, why should I go if they're gonna reverse what we're gonna vote on?
Any further discussion? If not, Todd's committee will send the agreed upon changes to the bylaws, and in our August meeting we'll review. And we'll also have recommendations from that committee with the changes to the executive committee.
Quorum, let's get through the quorum. We're gonna state majority. And where's the board's desired out of the quorum? I mean, Steve brought it up. We found out now that we can choose a different quorum. So what's the thought of the board of directors in quorum?
It's nice that you bring that up after you kicked me, that's all you
Well, you have to get it.
I like it the way it's written in there right now, simple majority.
Yep. It's a lot better. Different situation.
Good with that, Gary?
I'm fine with it. Yeah, it was brought up, it needs to be addressed. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with simple majority, but this will be going forward with no quorum. We have got our majority with a quorum before. So, I guess we can always address that if that all of a sudden becomes a problem. It hadn't been a problem in quite a while.
It has been a problem.
It has happened.
Oh, yes. For us old timers.
So yeah, I'm fine with leaving it a simple majority right now.
Any further
The
discussion?
emphasis ought to be to come to the meetings when you can.
All right, great. Moving on, setting the date for the strategic planning session.
This is a tough one. I know it's gonna take a lot of discussion, but is everybody okay if we set our strategic planning session for October 20th? Our current strategic plan was, the work was done in late 2014. The plan was printed in early 2015. It's definitely time to update. So I'm just trying to find a date so we can, all of our committees can have a target to work towards for getting their reports ready for the planning session.
It's Saturday, right?
That is a Saturday, yeah. We'll determine the hours and so on. I just want to get a date and get the room reserved.
It's after Mardi Gras.
Is it?
After Mardi Gras. It's before the election.
Yeah. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
You gotta be here, Steve. I have a motion and a second for the REDC strategic planning session to be October 20th, 2018, with the time to be determined. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay, the Vision Industrial Park has been tabled. We're moving.
I'd like to step back to that. Greg made the comment that that allows all the committees to be prepared for that meeting with, okay? Give us a little heads up of what you want us to bring.
Oh, well, and that's, yeah, that's part of the committee discussions, but just very briefly, priorities. In other words, in each committee, everything from education to technology to infrastructure. What are their priorities? They will have been working on these for 5 or 6 months. Hopefully then at the July committee meetings, we will begin to identify those priorities so that we can then begin, say throughout August and September, begin to do what we need to do to assign some dollar figures to some of these. At the strategic planning meeting, each committee chairman will present their committee's findings, and we all decide as a group what our overall priorities are in a ranking type of sequence. As a recommendation to the county commissioners of funding alternatives and so on for everything from edit funds to renewable energy dollars.
All right, great. Executive Director's report.
This will be brief. It was included in the board packet, so I mentioned the good news was Dr. Hicks, and so unless there are any questions, I'll just let the printed version of the Executive Director's report stand, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
You're fine.
And by the way, I do, at the request of the county commissioners, I do provide the county commissioners and the county council with copies of the executive director's report once you all have seen it and basically approved it as an update for them to kind of know what we're doing.
Any questions for Greg? All right, Missy.
Okay, I'll go fairly quickly here, but I want to invite you. Some of my bullet points, you're going to notice they have a question mark on it. So if you have any questions, whether you want to email me those questions or you want to talk to me afterwards or ask them now, that'd be fine. It's kind of been a whirlwind 3 weeks for me, so I'm going to try and highlight a few of the things that I think should be priorities for us, but I want your input because you've got more experience with this. So I've spent a lot of time maintaining and promoting HoosierOpportunity.com. Last Friday, Wayne County, Jay County, and myself with 5 delegates, we went to Ball State and talked to them a little bit about how do we market this. You know, we're posting jobs available in all those counties. We want to connect our employers to people who are seeking out jobs. They can do that by creating profiles. If you haven't looked at this website, you really ought to take a look at it because I think you'll kind of be amazed. It's a pretty good built website. Students or adults can post a resume. You can search for jobs that are available on there. By doing a resume, they pick interest points they have, and let's say you're looking for a worker at Franklin Lumber Company, it's going to send you those names of people who put their interest in working in certain fields. So you can actually get updates from those. This is what it looks like, and it's really easy to use. It's just not been used particularly by high school students as much as we should. Maybe the entrance into freshmen in college who may decide they don't want to be a sophomore in college, and so they're going to seek out this. So we went and talked to Ball State on Friday, and they gave us some good ideas on how they can help us market. And the other thing it has, with that marketability, this site tells people a lot about Randolph County. And it needs to be updated a little bit, but, these are, I just took this off today. So on the right-hand side, recent careers that are posted, those took place on, I think, last Friday. And there weren't very many changes, so those were on today, things that people can come to Randolph County if they're looking for jobs, which is kind of important. And I think we're all talking about, we want some people to relocate to Randolph County to make it their home because we have a lot of things we want to offer to them. But one of the things we may find is we have to offer them a job. We have to have something that they're going to be able to sustain their family with. And talking to Ball State, we talked to the Ball State University Athletics. I mean, it's not a done deal by any means because we have a lot of talking to do. But I really feel like we're already marketing on the radio. I'm not a real radio listener, not a TV watcher either, but Ball State offered us some outlets there. And we're going to be, by the way, I'm going to be right beside you at the 4-H fair, so we can cover for each other just a little bit, so I'll be out there too. But Ball State does offer us some opportunities inside their arena, their football field, and at some graduation venues. And I know, I agree with a few people who said, yeah, but all those people who are going to Ball State games, they've already got a job. They're already marketable. This goes into their freshman frenzy, goes into their fan jams, and those, I've been to a couple of them when Joe Morrison was at Ball State, and it does draw some families in with young children who may look for extra jobs or may not have employment at the time because there's a lot of free giveaways on that. Our challenge for all of us is countywide, we want to create a pathway for those high school students who are soon going to enter the workforce. This is going to be a tool for them to find job opportunities. A lot of times they need guidance on how they're going to get there. And so I think this particular website really offers that to them. And there's a lot of people who want to promote themselves in the job force. They want to move up in skill level, so that gives them a chance. We're looking at career and job fairs. I don't think we can just do job fairs. I think we're going to do some career fairs because how do you know what jobs are out there, what people are going to be looking for? Because it's changing, and it's going to change drastically. I look back 10 years ago, and the jobs that were in even school corporations, even in our community, they didn't exist 10 years ago, the ones that we have now, that we're promoting. So we're going to be looking to do that. We're going to be putting job fairs in our schools in the spring of 2019. but we're gonna be putting career fairs starting in October. We're gonna be asking employers to go in and talk to kids at lunchtime. We're gonna ask large groups to go in and tell people about your job. What's it take? Greg and I were talking earlier. Kids have to know that their driver's license matters now, because I want a job, but I have infractions on my driver's license. I can't work at Cooley's. I can't drive equipment because their insurance isn't going to cover me. School attendance counts a ton, but they were excused absences. Employers don't care. They just know you've got to be there every day. So we'll be doing that to visit a lot of Randolph County schools. I am currently updating, maintaining, and trying to promote these specific things. Some of you noticed you've gotten friend requests from the RECD Facebook page. That's us jointly in the office determining what we're going to put on there. Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram. Hootsuite just is our schedule manager. I think there's some confusion on that. I can put those things on a calendar. It automatically shoots out to all of these without me having to go to those individually. It's a great opportunity to get some stuff out. Ongoing every day, we got to reach our audience. Tomorrow, you're going to see we're going to go through some things. Tomorrow night, we're going to have them drop down to that second one. We think we've gathered, I think it's 12 to 15 actually today. First year college or second year college students, we're going to meet with them in here tomorrow. We're going to meet them downstairs, bring them up, and we're going to get them going on some discussion. If you knew then what you know now, answer that question, finish that sentence for us. And then we want to find out what some of the great things they did the first, second year in college, not the party and that kind of stuff, but some of the other good things. What are some of the challenges they faced? I hear a lot of students who they completed their first year. Lisa and I have talked about this just a little bit via email, but I got scholarships. Made it through my first year. Those scholarships are first year scholarships, and now they're not there. I'm now thinking about staying home, transferring to IU East or Ball State or someplace where I don't have to live on campus. Then in the fall, as soon as students get back, sometime in the 1st of September, we're going to seek out 15 to 20, hopefully at least 20, from the 5 area high schools, and we want to talk to them about what's your curriculum look like to you. What is it we can offer Randolph County schools as a whole that we can work together on? I've heard from a lot of citizens around Randolph County. I've been to Union City, I've been to Farmland, haven't been to Lynn yet, and of course I've been around the area. Blighted properties, I hear that from people. You know, we've got blighted properties in Ridgeville. How do we get rid of them? I mean, I hear that Union City's tearing down houses, but how are they getting that done? So that seems to be something that's of concern to people around Randolph County, in every community. I hear this all the time. I was kind of like one of our technology members. I thought, you know, I live in town now. I lived out in the timbers before. We couldn't get any kind of internet connection out there. But every day at noon, we're on Comcast here. So around noon, everybody must be shopping on their lunch hour because Comcast is at a snail's pace. And I told Greg today, I said the internet's going slow because about 4:45, everybody must be deciding, I'll finish up everything I can find on wherever on the internet because it is at a snail's pace. Even community or businesses and community members around here will say, I lose Comcast a couple hours a day, once a week. And that's a problem if you're running a business. So improved broadband makes a big difference. And it also lets your county have a web presence to where you're a location people are going to go to see what you're saying. Pretty difficult when people are losing access to it. I've heard from lots of people on this in community development that the assets of trails and recreational facilities. They feel like we have some natural assets and the creation of trails, better parks, a countywide park possibly. I've heard indoor swimming pool is top on a lot of people's lists. Those are kind of things I'm hearing. A lot of people want to see a connection between Harder Park, Goodrich Park, Camp Yale, that it become a loop that can be a bike trail that people can travel. And last thing, what do? Well, I hope that over those years in education, I've been able to build some relationships with people. And I think that's going to be a real asset to me to be able to go out and talk to people. We've got a new laptop here. In case if you haven't had to make a presentation, we are plug and play now, and you are good to go with a flash drive. or it's internet, it's ready to fly. We have the other one as a backup. It's always here if we need it, but you're not gonna have to worry about what do I click to talk to that thing, because I need to get back up there and push it just a little bit this way, or somebody tall does, because I get it scooted just a little bit too far that way. So we had an HDMI cable connect, so that should run smooth. No question, I hope that when you get ready to go, any videos, everything's gonna show. We've tested it, and it looks really good. I guess my goal in my position right now is to see all Randolph County realize that when something good happens, no matter where it happens, that it makes us all a better place to be. Because if good things happen in farmland, Lynn, Saratoga, Ridgeville, it doesn't matter what. Whether it's a Little League baseball diamond, whatever, it's a good thing for Randolph County. Big question is how. I had a person about 10 years ago who said, I think people are marketing themselves or places the wrong way because you want to tell them what it is you do. And I really think you need to tell them why do you do it. You go to places because they're going to tell you why they want to do what they want to do or why they are who they are. Then they're going to tell you later on, get them emotionally, let them know what you want. And then you're going to tell them how you're going to do it or what you do. But I got to know why you want to do it. If you don't have a passion for it, people aren't going to come to you, and no matter what you do. So I really think for all of us, I think you're all sitting here. I guess I'm getting paid, Greg's getting paid, and Scotty's getting paid. But other than that, you're sitting here because you have a service to your community and to the Randolph County community in whole. And that's really important, is for that service to be a guiding force. I think we need to increase the partnerships within the county to accomplish our goals and make people want to, it should be live, not live, work or travel to this area. I mean, tourism is a big part of that. You got to get people in. I think you got to promote the positive events. You got to promote the people who are here, areas, and I think we can send a message to the rest of our state. During certain, particularly times when we do that, if we think of some of the good things we're doing, and I know sometimes that kind of seems tough because we all kind of, where we're going to go, what can we do, but I think pulling together makes a big, at least a big difference in how people look at it and how our attitude is towards going forward, and what can we do to help each other. I have a much more detailed copy of this, but I'm not really a paper pusher, so if you want a copy of it, I'll be more than glad to send it to you. But in reports, I probably won't be giving you copies. I won't print out 25 copies and then you put them in the trash can on your way out. So let me know and I'd be glad to email. And welcome any questions if you have them or comments if you have them at this time. You're probably like me, you want to get home and do something.
Missy, thank you. I'm very excited.
Thank you.
I think I'm very excited. So thank you for all your efforts so far. I'm looking forward to tomorrow night and hearing how that goes.
Can I bring up just one?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a concern I have, and it's nothing in there, but if we go into the high schools and at lunchtime to try to help promoting school to work, are we making kids choose between work and college? How do you do that?
Because you're going
So I think the first focus ought to be, if the kid's able, we ought to push them into college, not push them into the workforce. We need to educate them first. I just don't want to feel that we're wanting to push chosen people to the workforce and other chosen. I think if the child has the ability, the counselors say that's in there, that our focus is to get them to college. They'll be back in 4 years. So I don't want to be discouraging college.
You're absolutely right, and we're not, because
Okay.
I don't know if Gabe and I talked about it. We went to a Pathways Summit last week, wasn't it, Gabe? It's been a long time ago. And I think we're thinking of pathways can only be vocational pathways. These pathways that these 6 students talked in a seminar to us about, it was on a panel discussion. It was in the medical profession. They wanted to be physician assistants, and another one wanted to be a doctor. They were in IT, and those were all college driven. One girl, a pathway was, she thought she wanted to be an educator. But how do you know you want to?
Right.
You go through school and then you get a teaching job and go, this is not what I signed up for. But by putting kids in an area, she said her junior year she was in a classroom, she went to a teacher's classroom and helped for an hour a day. When she was a senior, she was in another classroom for 3 hours a day. And so it was an advanced mathematics class at a high school. So your careers can't just be vocational. I mean, not to pick on Gabe, but we may ask Gabe to come in and do a career on being an attorney, being a computer programmer. It can't just be vocational. You've got to offer them. But there are careers they don't even know about. In robotics, Greg and I were talking about that today. There's a lot. You can't limit yourself. I think that needs to be a first option, because I think more kids, I mean, I made it through college. I think people can do it. So, money's a big thing, though.
Well, yeah, it is.
Scary.
But one final thought on the counting. We have to, I believe, focus and work on population. We're in a population decline. We're going to remain there for the next 10, 15, 20 years. But what is going to be Randolph County's plan to make people choose Randolph County? We have to work on that. If we continue to lose population, we're going to continue to struggle with services that need to be provided. So I think all the time in community development, we got to be looking at even if it's way out there, ideas that's going to make what people want to come here and live here versus talk about what can we do. Do we have the right parks? Do we have the right 4-H fairs? Do we have we have to have a long reach plan on this. I think that's going to bring the population back. The secret to our survival is our population. People will drive to and from work, and we need our industry, but we need the people living in Randolph County.
But when they're living here, they want great schools.
Well, then that's what we need to be doing.
And when we look at other curriculums, when we had an educational study done, Greg did, and when you look at that curriculum and you see the courses that Jay County can offer, and I'm not saying consolidate, I'm just saying this will amaze you, because I went through there and did several hours of study in that vocational, or in the educational study. Union City has police training, emergency management, radio and television, the television station, just to name a few. Randolph Southern has web design. They're the only one in the county who offer that. They do web design. They do computer applications to a high degree and computer design, which most go get a graphics bachelor's degree to be able to do that. And they do some coding. Winchester offers their welding. I'm just highlighting some of the ones that they kind of are talking about. They've got the welding, and if you've read the paper today, they are now a college, high school. We are Winchester University, actually, because we're offering so many dual credits. That advanced manufacturing, you might consider it vocational, but advanced manufacturing with analytics is a bachelor's and even a master's degree if you pursue that. But that gives you a head start into where to go. Union High School, they basically are a virtual classroom, and they are outside their doors. They're everywhere in the United States, maybe even in the world. So going beyond their walls has really added to them. Monroe Central, you're going to go, what? But I checked them, and I've verified all these. They teach principles of biomedical. They had medical interventions. They have fire and rescue safety, which takes certification past high school to get those degrees. And then one thing we have an opportunity to offer, and Greg has a lot more information on this, I have the guide and all the curriculum for it, is to put Kid Wind in our, not what you think, Kid Wind in our elementaries and middle school. It's a science about wind power, solar power, right now wind power, but how do they know what those jobs are in those areas and what it takes? But we know one thing, Gary, to do those, it takes good mathematics skills, takes good work skills. You got to be there, got to show up on time at school, because what they can't do at school, they probably can't do in the workforce. I think great schools are one of them. And it's a challenge now for all 5 schools to offer their students what they need. Years ago, if you wanted to come to Winchester, go to Union City, go to Randolph Southern, you had to pay tuition. Now you don't. So could I go to Randolph Southern in the morning for their web design? Go to Union City for the television or for the EMT course? Then could I come to Winchester to finish up my day with advanced mathematics and advanced science classes? Tell me why not? I don't want to know, can we do it? I want to know why not? Because we should be able to offer our kids that. Or better yet, our teachers travel between the county. Advanced mathematics teaches 2 advanced high-level math classes at Monroe Central, comes to Winchester, goes over to Union City. That person moves, the kids doesn't. There's all kinds of possibilities we can do. We got to start thinking outside the box, and we got to educate kids. We've also got to educate them on soft skills too. And it's hard. I know you try to discipline kids, you try to get them going in the right direction, but I think when you find a niche, something they like to come to school for, and that might be the welding, it might be the biomedical, and another, it might be anything, then kids are more likely to gonna listen and do what you want, and they see a goal at the end there.
Yeah, and just to give good mention to Missy and Greg as well as, you know, now the superintendents are reaching out to the businesses in the community. We've met with Lisa Smith and talked about, again, getting some co-op opportunities to get the kids into the workforce and kind of see what's going on. We just got invited to Winchester, I think, yeah, for the soft skills and getting the industry. So again, they've made a lot of headway. Again, we still got a long way to go, but at least from you know the company standpoint, the businesses of Randolph County, we're excited that we're starting to get that partnership because we hadn't had it for a very long time. I mean, it was very difficult, and a lot of our, especially in the manufacturing jobs, we have, you know, it's a dangerous workplace. So you can't get the kids in there, and as a freshman and sophomore, you have to wait till they're 18. But now at least we're working with them and going in and some of the schools and giving them some, at least trying to give them some advice and kind of real world examples of what goes on. So no, but I think it's all really started from you too, and it's really exciting from us.
Thank you, Missy. Before we head into committee reports, quickly, Steve, I think Cheryl has an answer for you on the negative number.
Yeah, on that negative number, I don't do these books, so I don't know some of these things off the top of my head like I would if I did it myself. But after looking through there, and I did talk to Michelle for 2 seconds there, but that's a year to date, so that's as of today, it's a negative balance. There is things that we paid for in the beginning of the year, but our year to date is zero, or we're right on track on our budget. There are certain things that you pay for.
We had a bigger loss in April than we did year to date in May. It was $3,000 year to date in April. It's now $2,800.
Which would make sense. But we're right on track with our budget.
Yeah, right.
And I go through this about a week prior to this meeting. She sends it out before she sends it to you guys. She sends it to me and I go through this. And I try to catch everything, but sometimes I just don't know off the top of my head. But after looking at it, that's what that is, so.
You would call that timing, right? It's just a timing variance.
So we can open the floor back up. There's no further discussion. We can go ahead and take care of approving the financials. If everyone's satisfied with Cheryl's.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the May financial. Those in favor, state aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. All right, committee reports.
The infrastructure committee, as it states here, will meet in July. The technology subcommittee and the infrastructure committee, the minutes were in the board packet. I do have one request. There still are none of our board members are on the technology committee. We've got about 7 or 8 members of the public who are involved in technology in their work. So if anybody would like to be on the technology committee, please let me know. Jim, do you have a marketing committee update?
Yeah, Missy and I met the day we were gonna have a meeting with the other 2 members, but because of other conflicts of interest and things that we had troubles with, we're gonna make a future date we're gonna restructure our survey, and because with everything, all the marketing that we've been doing here at Economic Development and tourism that's out there right now, it's in our best interest to reformulate the survey to make it more efficient and also electronic. So we'll give you another date, and we'll be posting when we have our meeting.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Okay. As it says here, the leadership committee will meet in July. Gabe, you want to go over anything on
Sure, yeah, the
education?
Education Committee met a couple weeks ago to review the curriculum study done by Angela Newman, who did a great job of looking at the curriculum of our 5 county schools as well as a few other surrounding schools. As Missy talked about, there's some pretty big things to be taken issue with in that. We're not ready to release that just yet. We have some things we want to review and tweak a little bit, but we're excited to share that with you in hopefully the next meeting.
Mhm. That's it?
Yes.
That's it, thank you. I would like some advice from the board on the revolving loan fund committee. We had one application that was rejected, that certainly was not approved. I don't know if you want to know who that company is. I can tell you it was not approved for incomplete information. We asked several times for a personal financial statement from the borrower or proposed borrower. We never did receive it, and the loan would have been structured in such a way that we might have had to rely on the net worth of the potential borrower. And so, considering that we're being taped, I don't know that I'll be glad to share this with anyone on a one-on-one basis, but there was a loan that was rejected. If someone talks to you about that, feel free to contact me or contact me after the meeting. Then, is everyone, are you okay with that, operating under that
Yes.
circumstance? And then the incentive committee, those minutes were in the board packet as well. Any members of the incentive committee, if you have anything you want to add, please jump in.
I would just add that the things we talked about are very broad ranged and not refined, and I wouldn't read anything into it right now that we're looking, because one of the part was the job training, and I'm kind of against incentivizing companies. I'm more about incentivizing the community. But like I told the committee, I'm not beyond looking at possibilities too, that are beneficial and helpful in Randolph County. So when you read in there, we're talking about other things too, how do we get development back in the residential side of Randolph County? Is there such a thing that we can incentivize somebody taking a blighted property and taking it to a fully newly developed structure, one that passes a C of O from the Randolph County's building inspector style thing. Even though we're talking about this, it's wide range right now and looking at, is it something that can be done? We talked about such a thing, if we had enough money set aside, that all of a sudden we had 50 houses rebuilt in every town in Randolph County, that would be a good thing. We'd do it for another 50. But do we have an idea on how we're going to do it? No, not yet. So out of the box talks what it was in that committee possibility. But on incentivizing industry, my hang up on it is fairness to all industry. And we have more jobs than we have people. We don't have enough people, and I think we need to be putting incentives in getting this county rebuilt to attract people. So it's kind of out of the box thinking.
It would seem to me that this is certainly an area where Dr. Hicks can provide us with some very good advice. That as well as really all the other committees. So I'm going to wrap up just simply by saying, I know the discussion on the bylaws can kind of drag out, but I hope you feel that we're in a very good place right now. Committees are functioning. I'm very proud of our staff and the way things are working right now. We have some goals. We have work plans that have definite dates, that we have things we want to accomplish as your team, as the county's team, between now and October the 20th when we do our strategic plan. Hopefully the strategic planning process gives us maybe a little different direction or clearly defines even more thoroughly our direction. I feel very good about where we're going. Hope you feel the same way. And please, the door is always open for any of us. So thanks for all you do, and thanks for being here this evening.
Any other business?
Happy 4th of July. A little early, so.
There'll be a test for the new members in 1 hour from now.
Ask for a motion to adjourn?
Second. Second.
Second. Those in favor, state aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign.
So how's that working, Mike? 30 days out and 30 days up, can you tell?
No, oh,